Welcome back to The Behavior Code, the podcast where we explore the why behind what people do. I'm your host, Maria.
And I'm Gabriel. It's great to be here. Today we are diving into something pretty heavy, but also incredibly important.
We're talking about control, specifically why some people seem to genuinely enjoy controlling others. It's a behavior that can be incredibly damaging, and it shows up everywhere.
Everywhere. In romantic relationships, at the office, within families, friendships, even online with complete strangers. It's a fundamental part of human dynamics, for better or often for worse.
Exactly. So in this episode, we're not just going to label it as bad. We're going to get into the psychology of it, the emotional drivers, and the real-world patterns. We want to understand the engine behind this behavior. And our goal here is twofold. For those who have felt the sting of a controlling person, we want to give you clarity and validation. And for those who might recognize some of these traits in themselves, this is an opportunity for self-reflection, not judgment, because ultimately, understanding is the first step toward change.
So, let's start at the beginning. The psychological roots. Where does this need for control even come from? Absolutely. And what's fascinating is how control can be disguised as care. It's not always the loud, domineering tyrant. Sometimes it's the quiet, helpful person who's subtly arranging your life for you, for your own good. We're going to pull back the curtain on all of it today.
Well, a huge piece of the puzzle, and this might sound counterintuitive, is fear.
Fear, not strength.
Exactly. It's often a deep, deep insecurity. Think about it. The world is unpredictable. People can leave you. Projects can fail. Things can fall apart. For someone with a low tolerance for that kind of uncertainty, controlling their environment and the people in it is, well, it's a coping mechanism. It's like trying to nail down all the furniture in a house before a hurricane. The storm is still coming, but the illusion of stability provides a temporary comfort.
Right. So it's not about controlling you necessarily, it's about them controlling their own anxiety, their fear of abandonment, or failure. If I can make you act in a predictable way, my world feels safer. Think of a partner who insists on knowing where you are every second of the day. On the surface, it looks like mistrust. But underneath, it might be a profound fear of being left, a fear so strong that they try to manage every variable to prevent it.
You've nailed it. It creates a predictable environment to soothe an internal chaos, which, leads directly to the second point, control as a learned behavior. And that fear can be completely irrational to the person on the receiving end. I once knew a woman whose husband would call her multiple times whenever she went to the grocery store, not because he needed anything, but because his anxiety would spiral if he didn't have constant confirmation of where she was and what she was doing. To her, it felt like suffocating mistrust. To him, it was the only way he knew how to keep his fear of her leaving him at bay.
So from childhood.
Our childhood environments are like the blueprint for our adult behavior. So if you grew up in a really chaotic, unstable home, maybe with parents who were unpredictable or emotionally volatile, you learn from a young age that the world is not a safe place. Nothing is stable.
You might cling to control as an adult because it's the one thing you never had. You're overcorrecting. You become hyper-vigilant, meticulously planning everything, trying to manage everyone's feelings and actions because, in your experience, the alternative is destructive chaos. You're essentially trying to be the parent you never had, but for the entire world.
Overcorrecting, exactly. And then there's the flip side. What if you grew up with really controlling parents?
You just repeat the pattern. It's the only model of relating to people you've ever known. It becomes normalized. If every decision was made for you, if love was conditional on obedience, then your understanding of care and relationships is fundamentally warped. You might see micromanaging a partner not as controlling, but as being involved and caring, because that's what was modeled for you.
Yeah, so we have fear, we have learned behavior, but then there's the third reason, which is a bit darker, control as a power strategy.
This is the one I think most people jump to. The idea that some individuals just enjoy the feeling of dominance.
And they're not wrong. For some people, it's absolutely true. Neurologically, exercising power over someone else can activate the reward centers in the brain, the same areas that light up with things like food, money, or even addictive drugs. There's a release of dopamine. It feels good. It gives you a rush.
Like a drug.
It can literally become addictive. That sense of superiority, of being the one who calls the shots, it reinforces itself. Each time they successfully control a situation or a person, they get that dopamine hit and they want it again. It creates a feedback loop where the need to control grows over time. So it's this really complex mix of insecurity and sometimes a genuine neurologically reinforced enjoyment of power.
Okay, so that's the why. But what does it actually look like? Let's get into the specific types of controlling behavior people might see.
Great idea. I think the first and maybe the most insidious is emotional control.
Mm-hmm. That's the stuff that's hard to put your finger on.
Totally. It's manipulation, it's guilt tripping, the classic, if you really loved me, you would, or the silent treatment. Let's paint a picture of that. Imagine you want to go out with your friends one night. Instead of saying, I'd miss you, the controlling person sighs dramatically and says, fine, go. I'll just stay here alone. I guess I'm not very good company. There's no direct prohibition, but the message is crystal clear. Your choice will cause me pain, and you will be responsible for it.
And suddenly, your fun night out is tainted with guilt. You either cancel and feel resentful, or you go and can't enjoy yourself. They've controlled your emotional state from afar. It's incredibly effective. And this often blends right into the next type, which we can call social control.
Oh yeah, tell us about that.
This is where the controller tries to manage the other person's relationships, isolating them from friends or family. It rarely starts with a direct order like, you can't see them anymore. It's more subtle. It starts with, Sarah's a bit of a party animal. I worry she's a bad influence. Then every time you see Sarah, there's a fight when you get home, or they give you the cold shoulder. Eventually, your brain makes the connection. Seeing Sarah equals a bad time at home, so you start pulling away, not because you were told to, but because it's easier. The goal is to shrink the person's world until the controller is the center of it.
Making them dependent.
Completely. Monitoring texts, social media, it all falls under that umbrella.
Okay, what about intellectual control? I feel like I've definitely seen this one at work.
The I know best syndrome.
Yes, it's when someone consistently dismisses your opinions, acts like their way is the only logical way. We've all met this person. You'll bring up an idea about finances, a vacation, anything, and they'll immediately shut it down with something like, well, actually, if you understood the logistics, you'd see that's not feasible. They use jargon, condescending tones, or so-called logic as a weapon. It isn't about finding the best solution, it's about establishing that they are the smart one and you are not. It makes you stop bringing up ideas altogether.
They shut down any debate by positioning themselves as the expert on everything. It's exhausting.
So exhausting. And that leaves us with the most obvious one, practical control.
This is the tangible stuff.
This is the stuff you can literally point to. Dictating schedules. We're going to my parents' house on Saturday. Not asking, telling. Making all the financial decisions without consultation. Sometimes even putting their partner on an allowance like a child. Or telling someone what they can and can't wear. In a professional setting, it's the classic micromanager who needs to approve every tiny email, crippling their team's ability to be creative or efficient.
So it's a spectrum, from the very subtle emotional games to the very overt practical commands.
Right, and often a person will use a mix of all four. So we know the psychology and we know what it looks like. But let's circle back to the title of this episode. Why does it feel good to the person doing it?
Okay, let's break that down. The first and maybe most powerful reason is that it reduces their anxiety. We touched on this, but it's key.
Right, it's a sedative.
It really is. Control gives the illusion of safety. And illusion is the key word. Life is inherently uncontrollable, but when they can manage their little corner of it, every variable, every person, every outcome, they feel less vulnerable. It's a temporary balm for a chronic wound. The anxiety that's, constantly humming under the surface for them, it quiets down for a moment. They've created a bubble of order.
That makes so much sense. And while it's quieting their anxiety, it's also doing something else, right? It's boosting their ego?
Oh, massively. Being in charge makes them feel important, powerful, and needed. For someone with a fragile sense of self-worth, their value might become tied to their ability to dominate or lead. Their internal monologue isn't just, I am in control, it's, I am indispensable. They feel like the protagonist, the one holding everything together. It's a very seductive narrative.
So it's like, if I'm in control, I matter.
Precisely. The third point sort of ties the first two together. It creates predictability. Our brains are wired to find patterns and predict outcomes. It's a survival mechanism. Controllers just take this to an extreme. For them, predictability is incredibly comforting. An unpredictable partner is a threat. An independent employee is a rogue element. They want to know the script before the play begins.
No surprises.
Zero surprises. Controlling people helps them avoid emotional curveballs. They don't have to deal with someone else's messy, unpredictable feelings if they can sort of dictate the emotional weather.
And over time, this all hardens into the fourth point. It reinforces their identity.
How so?
Well, some people build their entire personality around being the leader, the decision maker, the one who knows best. Control stops being just a behavior and becomes who they are. Their family and friends might even reinforce it, saying things like, "Oh, just let Alex handle it. He's good at this stuff." So their social circle starts to enable the identity. To give up control would be, in their eyes, to give up their core value, to become a nobody.
That's a terrifying thought, to be that locked in.
It is, and that's the perfect pivot to the dark side of control. Because while it might feel good for the controller, it's devastating for the person being controlled.
Let's talk about that impact, the emotional damage.
It's profound. When you're constantly controlled, you lose your sense of autonomy. Your confidence erodes. You start to doubt your own decisions, your own instincts. It's like your inner compass is slowly being demagnetized. You stop asking, what do I want? And start asking, what would they want me to want? It's not uncommon for people in these dynamics to develop severe anxiety or depression. They forget who they are outside of the controller's influence.
And that, of course, leads to a total relationship breakdown.
It has to. Control is the enemy of trust.
Right. A healthy relationship is built on partnership and mutual respect. Control replaces that with a hierarchy. It's like a garden where one plant grows so large it blocks the sun from everything else. It creates resentment that just simmers under the surface, and an emotional distance that becomes impossible to bridge. You can't be vulnerable with someone who is constantly critiquing or directing you.
And I think it's crucial to mention that this isn't static. There's an escalation over time.
That's a really important and scary point. Why does it escalate?
Because tolerance builds up. The small acts of control that worked in the beginning aren't enough anymore. The controller needs to exert more and more pressure to get that same feeling of safety or power. A request to see your phone becomes a demand for your password. Checking on where you are becomes installing a tracking app on your phone. It's a slippery slope, and it can and often does evolve from quiet manipulation into overt emotional or psychological abuse.
Okay, so given how damaging this is, we need to talk about recognition. What are the red flags? How can listeners recognize if they're dealing with a controlling person?
This is a big one. It's not just about differing opinions. It's about their deep-seated need for their version of reality to be the only one. Every discussion is a debate to be won, not a problem to be solved together. If you disagree, you're not just wrong, you're illogical or too emotional. They have to win to feel secure.
Red flag 2. They react badly when you set boundaries. A boundary feels like a direct challenge to their authority. For a healthy person, hearing, "I need some time to myself tonight," is normal. For a controller, it's a rebellion. So they'll push back, get angry, or use guilt saying, "Why are you trying to push me away?" They make setting a healthy limit feel like an act of war.
Number 3 is that they monitor your behavior. This goes beyond simple curiosity. It's checking your phone, scrolling through your social media messages, questioning where you were and who you were with, wanting a minute-by-minute account of your day. It's often framed as caring or concern. I just worry about you. But it's really about surveillance and information gathering.
Number 4 is that they use guilt or fear as a primary tool of influence. This is classic emotional control. "Don't go out with your friends tonight. I'll be so lonely," is a guilt trip. "If you change jobs, we'll probably lose the house," is a fear tactic. Healthy influence is based on respect and logic. Controlling influence is based on emotional manipulation.
And the last big one, they punish you emotionally when you disagree. The silent treatment, withdrawing affection, making sarcastic comments, they make it clear that disagreement has a painful cost.
That's a powerful list. So if someone is listening right now and ticking those boxes, what do? How do you deal with a controlling person?
This is the hardest part, but it's the most important. The first step is to set clear boundaries.
And what does that sound like?
It sounds like, "I will not discuss this when you are yelling," or "I am going out with my friends on Tuesday. This is not up for debate." You have to remember, boundaries are not negotiations. They are your lines.
That's so good. And when you're stating that boundary, point number 2 is crucial. Stay calm and neutral.
Yes, why is that so important?
Because controlling people often feed off emotional reactions. If you get upset or angry, it gives them more to work with, more to control. If you remain calm like a gray rock, they have nothing to latch onto. You're not playing the game.
I love that. The gray rock method. Okay, number 3, limit information sharing.
Simple but effective. Information is ammunition for a controller. The less they know about your plans, your thoughts, your feelings, the less they can use against you to control you. You are entitled to your privacy.
Absolutely. And number 4, and this might be the most vital, seek support.
You can't do this alone.
No. Talk to friends you trust, a mentor, a therapist. You need outside perspective to remind you that what you're experiencing is not normal and not okay. They can give you the strength to hold your boundaries.
And that brings us to the final and hardest step. Know when to walk away.
This is the tough one.
It is, but you have to understand that you cannot fix another person. You can set boundaries, you can change your reactions, but you can't force them to change their fundamental behavior. Some controlling dynamics are so ingrained that the only healthy choice for you is to leave.
Wow, what a journey. From the psychology of fear to the practical steps of walking away.
So, let's summarize the key insights for our listeners. The need for control often stems not from strength, but from fear, learned behaviors, or a psychological need for power.
It shows up in emotional, social, intellectual, and practical ways. And while it might feel good to the controller by reducing their anxiety and boosting their ego, it's incredibly damaging to the other person.
And most importantly, you have tools to deal with it. Recognizing the red flags is the first step. Then, setting boundaries, staying calm, and seeking support can help you reclaim your autonomy.
We really encourage you to reflect on the relationships in your own life, not with judgment, but with curiosity. Where are the dynamics of control playing out? And what's one small step you can take today to foster a healthier interaction?
Thank you all for listening to another episode of The Behavior Code.
If this episode resonated with you, please subscribe, leave a comment, or share it with someone who might need to hear it. We'd love to hear your experiences with this topic. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.